Okay, let's start off with our first big story this morning. Power distribution companies, also known as DISCOs, are calling for an implementation of a cost-reflective electricity tariff for end users, as captured in the last tariff review carried out by the Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission.
Now, DISCOs often argue that a cost-reflective tariff will be about 68 naira per kilowatt hour, as against the 25 naira kilowatt hour that the largest percentage of electricity consumers across the country currently pay.
Now, on the other hand, power generation companies say they are owed 504 billion naira and have demanded that it be paid for them to continue generating electricity. But consumers who are the end users of power still like electricity in their homes and businesses. As a matter of fact, yours sincerely.
It's the same.
It's the same. Now, will they be willing to pay more for something they're not satisfied with?
That's the big question. $1 million question. Now, it is the issue of the hen and the egg. Should we have meters first before we pay, or should we pay first before we have meters?
Or should we pay to get electricity, since the GENCOs and the DISCOs are saying this is the only way to guarantee constant power supply?
But Nigerians have always argued these are things that should have been on ground before now. If you're taking over these things, you should know that the cost of whatever you're taking over involves the provision of meters.
Yes, indeed.
Starting with, because experts in the industry have always said, if there is no measurement point, how do you even provide electricity in the first place? How do you measure what you're giving out? So you're even doing yourself a disservice, because you're giving out electricity or volt or whatever it is called, and then you're not getting value for money, because there are leakages everywhere.
For a country like Nigeria, with a population of 170 million, to still be talking about 5,000 megawatts of electricity and aiming to achieve 7,000 or 10,000 by 2018, it leaves so much to be desired. You wonder if this economy is really truly to be diversified, and the small and medium enterprises, where the larger percentage of people who will drive the economy, that's where you find them. They don't get electricity. How are you going to turn this economy around?
And small and medium scale enterprises need electricity for them to be able to.
That's the engine of any
economy. If you check that bracket, a lot of them are always thrown out of business because they can't keep buying diesel and all of that. Now, the big ones can afford that, but how much contribution do they give?
That's the point. Okay, let's listen to some Nigerians and their thoughts on this electricity issue.
It is very stable. We can pay for the light, can pay for the money they said you want to increase on it, but the light is not stable. If you go into an outside country like Ghana, we have a tariff, we have this thing prepaid that we use, and we have a regular light. We pay for what we use. But in Nigeria, it's not that way. It's not that way. But it's very, very bad in Nigeria. Light is very, very bad.
It's by the idea now. You're supposed to pay for the thing where if you give person, if you want to sell something, we will see the thing we want to buy before we talk, say we want to sell it something like money. The condition of light is very bad. It's not right to increase the tariff of this thing. It's not no support of that thing.
Increasing tariff is not even the issue now. Nigeria is ready to pay for services provided. I trust Nigeria. People that spend so much money buying fuel almost every day, that if there is constant electricity, people, they don't even, I mean, they can pay. But right now, I am not in support for the increase in tariff. Let there be light.
Let there be light. You know, that was the first thing God said that time. And since that time, there has been light until now.
Now, and like they say, you cannot reinvent the wheel. If the maker of the universe needed light for him to create anything, that says a lot.
All right, let's leave that one there. All right, we're joined now by the President, Consumer Advocacy Foundation of Nigeria, Shola Salako. Shola, good morning.
Good morning.
You're welcome.
It's good
nice to see you.
Yeah, same
right.
here.
Of course, we're expecting to be joined in our Abuja studio by another guest. Of course, Sunday Odunton.
Yeah,
he is of the Association of Nigerian Electricity Distribution Companies.
All right, Shola, let's start it this way as we expect Sunday to join us as we get along. Now, I know we have been on this issue for some time. Over and over again. There are still demands from discos. Government has to do this, government has to do that. There don't seem to be a solution. Government is not calling these people for us to sit down. What can we do as a people to ensure Nigerians have light? Shouldn't that be where we should be thinking about?
I don't know whether the service providers are actually listening to their customers. I really don't think they are. You know, there's already this definite mindset that this is what we need to be able to deliver this. It's almost as if nobody is wanting to think out of the box. And pushing and pushing at a willing horse. You would ride that willing horse to death. That's what, because they know that once they put a lot of pressure, because people really want to get this power, or when government gives them a go-ahead, there's nothing most Nigerian consumers can do. You don't have a choice. That's what they think. So I think they need to rethink their processes or rethink their strategy.
Are you talking about the contracts in the first place?
No.
Because there's been a lot of back and forth about a need to review the contract, the whole privatization process in the first place. Several times here on this show, we've asked the discos, people like Sunday Odunton, did you not see all of these challenges before you decided to take up the distribution companies or Gencos and all of that? But that aside, can you really blame these people, Gencos, discos, for example? Gencos are saying that government is owing them 504 billion. Now, when government is owing that much, what do you expect from them?
I think I've always felt that government is probably the biggest culprit in the reason why our credit system never works. Because when government does not pay its bills, it becomes there's a ripple effect that hits every sector in the economy, because government is still the biggest spender. So I would really want to see this government restructure itself in such a way to become responsible with paying bills. There are so many contractors, there's so many jobs that people have done for government that years and years on end, you're not getting paid. And government keeps getting all this money and putting it in different directions. I think the last time I checked, the local debt for the government is over 1 trillion naira.
Yeah, indeed.
That would directly impact this economy. So I agree with the Gencos. If government is owing, government should pay. If government does not set the right example, how will government be able to call consumers of small to come and say, come and pay?
I agree. I totally agree with that. In fact, it's just logical.
Yeah.
All right, let's go on a break and then we come back to dwell on this. But don't forget that we're going out on TVC Entertainment. The viewers there can continue with the breakfast program on DSTV channel 418, Go TV channel 45.
And Free TV 701, StarSat 270, and StarTimes 307. Stay with us.
Right. Well, that's an interesting one. When, you know, button changes, new policies change, new ideas infused into
and it's the first
processes.
African. It's a good one. Let's hope it rubs off positively, of course, on the African continent. Shola Salako is our guest this morning as we look at discussions on past sector challenges and, of course, the call for a cost-reflective tariff.
Tariffs, exactly. All right, let's stay here. We're still expecting the spokesperson for the electricity distribution company, Sunday Odunton, to join us in Abuja because Nigerians would like to hear from his perspective what is really going on. That's from the inside of the distribution companies. What are really the challenges? Now, he has, not being a spokesman, but I remember he has always said that government, to a great extent, don't abide by the agreement that they've had from the beginning. Now, when it comes to The Niger Delta is peaceful, gas is flowing, oil is flowing, revenues are coming in. We expect that that should translate into
better services from what they complain about. It's amazing. Yeah, you are not faithful to your contract with your customers, and all you complain about is government is not faithful to its contract with you. The issue, the greatest problem that Nigerians actually have, you know, we know the issues of whether we have enough power generated to be distributed and all that and all that. But the problem, the key issue that can help them solve this trust problem that they have with their customers is give customers meters. They've been asking for it for how many years now? We've been hearing one story or the other. You want to leave that unsolved, and you want to come and talk about increasing. They've increased since they got this thing. You remember? Yeah, we're now paying 26%.
Exactly.
Yes, we're now paying 26 naira per kilowatt now.
Exactly.
But we still have not seen any improvement in the level of metering. How is it possible for you to continue to cheat people, and you expect them to keep being willing to accept whatever your challenges are? If we are satisfied, we can join with them and face the government.
Yeah, indeed.
But the bottom line here is that you are not looking at us. You are exploiting us, and you want us to stand with you and face the government. It's not going to work.
Speaking of metering, I remember last year, BRF, Babatunde Raji-Fashola, Minister for Power, Housing and of course Works, did call on the discos to ensure they distribute meters to consumers or customers, saying that, look, there's so much meters, or so many actually, just lying fallow in the warehouses and all of that. And, you know, just this back and forth, 35,000 or so just there in the warehouse.
So why
and then again, in the same breath, we're hearing from government, you know, that more metering companies should be set up. I wonder what we make of this.
Nobody has told us exactly what is wrong, why we're not getting meters. Nobody has actually been
able to explain it.
Yes, because it pays this discourse that we don't have meters.
To do guesstimation? Like
yes, so that they can be able to meet whatever it is that they think their expected revenue can be. They just slap everybody with whatever brill they feel like they should slap you. And every day you keep doing that, you are eroding the trust quotient between you and your customers. There's no way customers who don't trust you can stand up and help you fight for what your own challenges are. So what are they doing? Let them give us a plan. Even before this metering issue has been on, before they took over the discourse. Yes. Since this privatization, which has happened now for about 5 or 6 years, we've been talking about meter. Is this meter issue, is it such rocket science that we cannot be seen to be gradually
is it even fundamental if Jengos are saying that they can actually generate 8,500 megawatts, but transmission seems to be standing in the way. So what really are the fundamental issues? Is it a TCN problem, the transmission company, which is still to a very large extent in the hands of government? Or is it the Gencos that say, look, we're generating, but the discos are rejecting?
It's everybody's problem. There's quite a whole lot of issues along this supply chain, plenty of it. But what we are saying is that when you take care of the immediate, you can start to deal. You see, before we can get past here, as long as Nigerians feel this strongly about the way they feel they're being exploited by this discourse, it's going to be difficult for you to galvanize the whole of the sector in one direction, which is solving issues of generation and core. People who have meters don't complain too much about whether we have light or not, because they know, okay, they're still trying to solve that generation problem. People who don't have meters are the ones who are constantly every day in anger. And as long as you have that coming on, you cannot pull everybody together.
And you have more people who don't have meters.
Yes, you can't pull everybody together. Look, first and foremost, it flies in the face of everything fair. For you to say, you pay this amount of money, whether I give you service or I don't, you just pay it.
And they're asking for 200% increase.
That's unfair. So you want to now increase, you've increased on us without the service. we managed to adjust. You want to increase again, it's not going to work. It won't work. You know, so we have issues of generation, we have issues of transmission and all of those things, yes. But first and foremost, establish that the end user is protected first. Then, as you work on increasing or decreasing, you are not dealing with this struggle with these end users. Because now, if for instance you are giving over all of us meters, and now you say you want to increase, then we can face that issue and be looking at, listen to you and hear what your challenges are and see what we can do to accommodate whatever it is that can be accommodated. But right now, it's like putting salt in injury. You haven't given us power, you are exploiting us, and you are asking for more opportunity to exploit us the further. What kind of thing is that?
In this, should we even blame government in the first instance for calling companies, giving them licenses when you have not been able to weigh their capacity to handle the magnitude of the challenge in that sector?
Government has a lot to be blamed for. But the problem that we have now is we are already in this. How do we get out?
How do we make the best of a bad situation?
Do you make the best of a bad situation, or do you actually pull out completely? What are the costs? Because whichever decision you take, there will be
implications.
Yes, there are strong implications. So you can't just look at it and solve and just say, okay, this is one size fits all kind of solution. There's none. There's none.
And then the discos are, of course, complaining about power theft. They're asking for legislative action to, you know, help solve this problem for them. And again, the special courts to actually attend to this fees.
In my estate, we got a message or something from Ikeja Disco that they will soon stop supplying power to our estate because some people are not paying. I'm waiting to see the person who said that. Because there are quite a lot of us who pay our bills. So when did we become staff of Ikeja Electric that we have to be the ones to help them force their customers to pay? What structures have you put in place to manage your own relationship with your customers? Did you enter into an agreement with us as an estate or as individuals in that estate?
And speaking of estates, since you are a consumer rights advocate, I guess I better just put this out there. Some estates have complained that they paid double tariff. There's one tariff for NEPA for PHCN.
No, PHCN.
There's no PHCN.
It's not even PHCN.
It's not even PHCN.
Disco, just say disco.
Disco.
Because you don't know which one it is.
Exactly, it could be anyone.
Any of them.
There's one tariff, and then there's another tariff. So it's more like double jeopardy. You have to pay for the same service
what actually
twice.
happens?
What exactly is going on
What
there?
actually happens is that when you live within an estate like that,
I would let you explain, you know, to us further when we come back from this break.
That's exactly. Let's go on a break and then we come back to dwell more on this. A lot of Nigerians are concerned about the issues of tariffs and the unavailable metering system as far as electricity is concerned. Stay with us on TVC Breakfast.
Right, you're welcome back. It's TVC Breakfast this beautiful Wednesday morning. Okay, hopefully it can get even more beautiful if we're able to solve the power problem. Shala Salako, I was asking you a question earlier. This dichotomy, or is that the word now, or double payment for the same product?
well, what I think happens is that some estates that are well managed, that have service managers, they have a structure by which they buy in bulk from the discos, and then they redistribute to the residents in that
within
estate.
the estate. Okay.
Those ones now set their own tariff. Some of the estates that work like that well are estates that have also made provision to have standby generators, so that people within that estate would normally get light like 24/7, whether it is public power or it is the one.
And there's nothing illegal about it.
Oh, no, no.
Okay.
You see, this is where we really should be going. One of the greatest challenges that we have is that we want this unified pricing. It breaks competition. If we don't improve, encourage competition in that sector, we will keep fighting about what is acceptable and what is not. People should be allowed to make their own direct negotiations. If I can negotiate better than you, then I can get power cheaper than that person. What government should be working on is there should be some base over which you may not be able to go. But you have to give room for people to have choices. In the US, for instance, they have a whole lot of power distribution companies. If I don't like what you are giving me, somebody is offering me something, I just tell you, disconnect from me, and it's still the same infrastructure. It's just that you are getting your power from somebody else. You understand? So we need to start moving in that direction. And I think that's what the minister is trying to do with giving the directive for some class of consumers to be able to buy direct from the Gencos. That's one of the reasons why the discos are now insisting on increasing the tariff. Because the class of consumers that are given this opportunity now are the big spenders. They are the industrial large estates and all those people. And that's where they get the bulk of their money. So if those people now have the option of going to buy from the Gencos, then they feel we must put pressure on the other people so that we can meet up to whatever it is that we think we want. It's a complex situation.
It really is complex.
All right, I understand we have Sunday Oduton now in our Abuja studio. He is the spokesperson for electricity distribution companies, and we have him now in our Abuja studio. Sunday, good morning. It's good to have you on now. We have been on this issue for a long time, talking about light, let there be light, but there won't be light. And Nigerians are complaining. At this point now, there's still a request for tariffs, reflective tariffs to be increased. Can you break it down for us to understand why that should be?
Well, let me correct a notion and something. I believe something mischievous is going around now. What is mischievous is the fact that some people are reporting that discos are asking for tariff increase. That is not entirely true. And that is mischievous. It is not for the discos to fix the tariff or to increase the tariff or to reduce the tariff. It is for the regulator to do their own job. What discos are saying is that the product needs to be appropriately priced. Remember, and I want to remind Shola, because my very good friend and sister, Shola, she's been talking and I'm really surprised that she's not getting it right. While I respect her passion for the customers, and I'm one of the customers, I also want everybody to understand simple arithmetic. We all did mathematics in secondary school. What we are saying is that as a distributor, I'm buying my product from producers. Simple. Electricity is a product. Simple. And when I buy my product, I buy it at a particular cost. It comes at a cost. And what I'm saying is that if I'm buying that product for 68 naira, and I'm only being allowed to sell for 31 naira 50 kobo, how do you expect me to recover my costs? How do you expect me to be able to provide meters that she's talking about? How do you expect me to buy transformers? How do you expect me to make those capital investments? Remember, as a business, we should be able to access financial institutions for loan. No bank will lend you money if your business is not bankable. That's what we are talking about, bankability, cost recovery. Nobody is talking about you must increase tariff. And I will tell you something, and I've said it before on this program. Nigerian government copied this tariff structure and this whole privatization thing from New Delhi in India. When you copy and paste, for God's sake, please copy properly and paste completely.
All right, so Sunday Oduton, let me just quickly come in here. You talked about achieving appropriate pricing, and you have said discos are not necessarily asking for increase in tariff. So what are you asking for, and what would be appropriate pricing? Since the fundamentals are not even there, so how can you achieve appropriate pricing?
Let me repeat what I said.
Yes.
My dear sister, I'm saying that if I'm buying a product for 68 naira Should I be selling the same product for 31.50 kobo? Who is making up for the shortfall? And I've never had Shola that has this knowledge that I expect to understand this. Instead of playing to the gallery, why can't we talk about, or why can't somebody ask us what happened to the shortfall between 31.50 kobo and 68 naira?
Are you in other words, asking for a subsidy? Are you asking for a subsidy then? Is that what you're saying?
That is one of the options. I'm saying that the federal government, in their wisdom, who have fixed the tariff for us through the regulator, and who also knows that there's an increase in the cost of production from the upstream end, gas suppliers and generation companies. They have the figure. So they need to do something to fill the shortfall. It doesn't have to be a tariff increase on the consumers. If they don't want to increase the tariff and they feel that it will be too much for Nigerians, then what they need to do is to copy exactly what was done in Kenya, Uganda, Peru, India, and of course, Mexico. Even in Egypt, near home here. So what we are saying is that there's a shortfall, huge shortfall. Unless we do something about shortfall, you can't have meters, you can't have transformers, you can't repair all the dilapidated infrastructure. That's what we are saying. It's about numbers.
All right. Okay. Let's. Sunday, let me put you on hold a little. Sunday, let me put you on hold. Shola is here because you have mentioned her in several mentions here.
Okay, I want to ask Sunday. He just painted a situation of some other person who has more power determining how much you can, price your product because they have the power to do so. I want to ask him, how would he feel if the Gencos just say, okay, I don't care how much power I have distributed or released to you, this is what you are going to be paying. How would they feel? Because that's exactly what they are doing. Because they get it from Gencos. Yes, that's exactly what they are doing to the consumer. So, I am not denying the fact that we have issues. I am saying we should deal with these issues from the point at which we can handle it first. They are not addressing that. They keep pointing to the fact that this is not cost reflective. But what you are doing to the consumer is that you are making the consumer pay what you think, what you feel like charging him, without it being commensurate to what you are serving.
And he's talked about the shortfall. If government says sell at 31 and they're buying at 68, how do you make up the difference?
Look, there are many ways in which they can make up this difference. I've given them one recommendation before. Before they increased that price, in fact, I wrote a letter to the minister, though he didn't acknowledge it, but I wrote a public letter to him. When you wanted to increase tariff, make it conditional. I've said it here. Make that tariff increase conditional on only consumers who have meters. Because when you have meters, you can actually control your own consumption. Measure it. Yes, you can control. That's prepaid meters. You can say, okay, it's because we feel everybody must pay the same thing. We have the same tariff across the board. No, you can start by staggering that tariff. Okay, if you give this Mr. A prepaid meter, then he would start paying this your cost reflective rate because by then he can actually control his own consumption. Exactly. But there are people who don't have meters. There are people who have postpaid meters that there's no means by which you can measure what they are consuming, and you just want everybody to pay that same rate. If the government approves that it should be conditional on prepaid meters, I trust. Sunday will not tell me that they will not be able to.
All right, Sunday, let's come back to you on this, because I think from what Shola is saying, a lot of Nigerians are also saying the same thing. Why isn't there meters so that you can appropriately, because you talked about appropriate pricing earlier on, how do you appropriately price when you can't even measure what you're providing?
Let me also make something very clear. And it will be very sad if people that are very educated and elite like Shola and others cannot understand this simple analogy. Metering is very good for the discourse. Metering is also very good for the customers. for anybody to come on there or to say it anywhere that discos are happy with estimated billing, the person must be living in another world. The reason why I will tell you this is that when we give you an estimated bill, it will always be contentious. When we're able to measure what we use, we will always be able to know what you are using if you have a meter. So it is in our interest to meter our customers. And thank God, Shola mentioned that since we came on board about 5 years ago, metering has been an issue. We came on board on the 1st of November 2013. That is just over 3 years ago, so not 5 years. But she is right by saying that metering has been an issue from time immemorial. We met a metering gap of about 5 million customers yet to be metered. That today has been reduced to about 2.8 customers who are still yet to be metered. But those are even the customers that we've been able to capture. So what I'm saying is that we have less aggravation when people are metered. We are not making extra money from estimated billing. But I admit here, and I'm being honest with you, that there are cases of underbilling and overbilling. Those who are underbilled don't complain. Those who are overbilled complain, and rightly so. I understand how and why people feel bad that they are not being metered. So,
okay, so
not saying the issue of metering is a very capital-intensive thing. A particular disco needs about 30 billion naira. Shola should tell us how and where we can get such funds from.
I just told you.
We're just selling a product at 31 naira.
I just told you.
At 68 naira.
Okay, so what Shola has said is bill those who have meters.
The cost
then you can make your money from there.
Exactly.
Now, Sunday Odunton, before we let you go, because we have to wrap this very quickly. Last week, you said 5 days of power outage should be expected all across Lagos. What exactly is the real problem? Very briefly, if you can.
Anytime we tell you about power outage, it is better for us to let you know what is going on. Whenever we have maintenance to do, or we're replacing some of these old equipment and we need to put in a new one, and there's need for outages, I think it's only fair that we should inform Lagosians or Nigerians, whichever area such things is happening. So we try to inform the public so that you will know. That is better than just taking it off. And let me repeat again, taking off light or putting it on is the job of TCN, Transmission Company of Nigeria. They are the one that put on light or put it off on our behalf. So informing you is just to let you know that we're doing major repairs, major work, maintenance, repairs, and such things.
Okay.
So
all right, Sunday. Yeah,
not to do. Sometimes
okay.
When we don't tell you,
Sunday we'll come back. We'll come back. Let's put you on hold.
Thank you very much,
Thank you,
Kemi. All right, back to our discussion on the cost-reflective tariff that the power sector is asking for. According to Sunday Odunton, the spokesman for electricity distribution companies, is saying the discos are not necessarily asking for increase in tariff. We're yet to find out exactly what they're asking for. Shola Salako is a consumer rights advocate right here in our studio.
What they're asking for is that the Nigerian consumer should subsidize them either way. Okay, whether it is directly
or indirectly
through increase in tariff or indirectly through subsidy from government, because it's still Nigerian consumers' money.
Okay, let me take this to Sunday Odunton. Sunday Odunton, thank you for remaining with us. Now, the Senate Committee on Privatization in January of this year did come out clearly to say there will not be any increase in tariff and there will not be any subsidy, saying that it is a product of the monopoly that has been always in the power sector. I wonder what you have to say about that.
Well, we are an industry, so we are not politicians, and we shall not be making political statements. What we need to do is to tell you exactly how it is in terms of naira and kobo. So we leave it to our government, all arms of government, to decide how best they want to take this forward. But I know that Nigerians require electricity. Nigerians also want meters from the downstream. From the upstream, the generation company want to be able to pay the gas suppliers, and all of this come at a cost. So for us, it's about appropriate pricing. Even when you are saying cost-reflective tariff, some Nigerians may not understand. Use the word appropriate pricing. There's a difference between 68 naira and 31 naira 50 kobo.
Okay.
And that difference has to be paid for. That's when you talk about cost recovery. It's simple arithmetic. This is not political. This is not sentiment. And when Shola says subsidy is their money, it's my money too, not just you. I'm a Nigerian like yourself, and I'm a consumer too. Other countries have done this. It's either we privatize or we nationalize. If you want NEPA, let it go back to NEPA. They can give us our money.
Okay.
And
There's a good question here, Sunday, that Shola is asking. What do you really want? Can you itemize? Can you really itemize? This is what we want.
Do you want a loan?
This is what we want.
Because
so
you are a private business.
Thank
Sunday.
you.
Make us understand.
What we want?
Yes.
Thank you. What we want? Shola? What we want? Number one, we want the government to look at the cost of gas and step in. Nigerians pay their bills in naira. So the generation company are buying gas priced in dollar. So they need to do that so that the cost of gas can be more realistic with what happened downstream. That's number one. The second thing that we want, the federal government promised these entities 5 different things, and they have not kept to it since 2013. They should go back to the performance agreement and live up to that. There's something in law that we call sanctity of contract. If we have all of those, automatically we'll be able to access funds from financial institutions who provide meters. In fact, I want meters like yesterday. But if we provide meters, someone like my sister Shola here and I will be having handshake. We need meters. And we cannot buy meter with my teeth.
If you provide meters for my consumers, Sunday, I will help to make the case that you are talking about for the government. What do you want from government? Do you want them to give you a loan? Because you can't be saying they should subsidize or they just provide the money. Is it a loan? Because you're a private business. You are all private businesses.
Oh, you need a bailout?
Yes. No, we are not giving anybody any bailout anymore. We can make a case for government to loan you money, and you tell us how you intend to play back.
Sunday, let me put out to you a perception, a general perception out there. As a matter of fact, somebody came out here and said, look, will you remain in business if every Nigerian is metered? Will the discos really remain in business? Because the perception is that you're actually making money out of
money
this
from estimated.
Let me answer that. Let me answer that.
Yes, please.
Let me answer that. Last week I was in Kano, Kaduna, Jigawa. I was in Katsina, and back in Lagos, we did some studies. What I find out, a particular estate under Ikeja, they were saying, give us meter. The moment we metered them, their bill went up. Which means, if we meter Nigerians, it will be far better for us. That's why I say that people just talk without even knowing what the facts are on the ground. I go around the whole country and I know what I'm saying. So it is our interest to meter customers. If Shola wants me to email her details of all of these things, I can do that.
Please do.
We can make it public. Those who are metered,
because that's not our own that's not our experience.
They end up paying more.
No. Most people who have been metered, their bills have dropped. That's what we know.
Sunday, the argument here is Nigerians don't even care to pay whatever. But the point there is, let there be a measurement for what they are given. So there is value for their money. That's what they're saying.
Like it's done in other
So the
parts
concept
of the world.
of paying more or paying less doesn't even come to play here.
I agree with you.
There are Nigerians Mark, there are Nigerians who are willing to pay for these meters. But you are not even making it available for them. They are willing to pay because they understand that if I have this meter in place, then I can manage my own consumption. But you are not willing to give it to them. You say you don't have money to do meters. Okay, we bring back your company. Meet that company. We were supposed to pay you ahead for those meters. Wait now, Sunday. We're supposed to pay you ahead for those meters so that you will now you convert that advance payment into service over time. You have not been meeting even the demand on the CAPME scheme.
So, what is wrong with the CAPME? Why is it not solving the problem that it's meant to solve?
Thank you. The CAPME, the question on CAPME should be directed to NAC, our regulator, and to the Federal Ministry of Power. You know that word power is so powerful. We are against the stoppage of CAPME. They stop it. They stop it. They deny Nigerians the opportunity to advance money for their meters.
Why?
It was a good program. And you see, when they stopped it, we were against them stopping it. But we can't stop our regulator from using their power. And the Federal Ministry of Power. It is between them. You see, for me, I'm saying that when Shola says people are ready to pay, even in Shola's neighborhood, we have discovered a lot of thieves in where she lives. Oh, I know where Shola lives. Issues of theft.
All right.
I guess we have to leave it there now.
Sunday, thank you very much. Sunday, thank you very much. Shola, well, it's good he knows your house, so he's going to email you, and then
listen,
both of you will understand all of this.
There are some consumers who are irresponsible, and they don't pay their bills. Yes. But it is their responsibility to fish those people out and ensure that you and
penalize when necessary.
Yes. Why should you hold me responsible? I pay my bills.
That's what Nigerians really want. Well, Shola, thank you very much for coming. President of Consumer Rights Advocacy of Nigeria, thanks for coming. And Sunday Duton, thank you for joining us on the program this morning. I know as we get along, there'll be times for us to dwell more on this because Nigerians will always want to know what is going on and whatever effort.
Maybe you can both have that handshake before.
Okay, let's handshake across.
All right, let's go on a break, and then when we come back over time for business with Yemisi Larido, stay with us on TVC Breakfast.